Yeah. Okay. Wherever you are watching around the world, welcome to the 2020 C&D Xiamen Marathon here in Fujian province in China. As you can see, we have just joined the helicopter as we look at beautiful Xiamen city here in Xiamen Island. And this island, of course, now famous not just for sightseeing attractions, but also for the marathon itself, because for the last, 18 years now, this is the 18th running of it, this city has been the staging post for the first gold label race, marathon road race of the year. Very early on in the year. A big Happy New Year to everyone watching. And of course, Happy New Decade as well. A very special time right now. And I think that not only applies to the spectators and the viewers from all around the world, some 40 countries joining us today. Big hi to you. But of course, to all the runners and the logistics and officials and marshals around in Xiamen Island as well. They've been getting the marathon ready, as they always do every year over the last week. And as we look at some of the beautiful shots of the coastal road there, this is just circling the Xiamen International Convention and Exhibition Center, which is, of course, the start and finish point for today's marathon. Good weather, as you can see. No rain this year. I was lucky enough to watch the marathon the last couple of years, and we have been plagued by a little bit of rain in the last 2 years. That did affect the runs and the results, of course, from some of the elite runners last year. I think we finished with a 2:09 last year, looking to up that this year. But plenty of action coming your way over the next 3 hours. The full marathon distance, 42.195 kilometers. And of course, for the men and women. And that is the Xiamen International Convention Exhibition Center, seen from the Air Studio. This is a fully equipped helicopter that has 7 cameras on it. And a host, as you can see. And looking at the temperature here, 16 degrees, absolutely perfect running conditions this morning. And there is the army of runners ready to go. 35,000 people, once again, picked from some 82,000 that were registered, ready for action. And I just had a glimpse of some of the VIPs that are sitting on stage right now, ready to flag off the marathon. It should be getting underway in about 2 minutes. And on that note, of course, a big thank you to the local organizing committee, the Xiamen Municipal Sports Bureau, plus, of course, the Chinese Athletics Association, and all of the people that have put this massive marathon together. It is no easy feat putting together an IAAF Gold Label race, I can tell you. And that's an aerial shot there of the festivities happening. And just at the side of your screen, you can see the first wave of runners. A couple of changes made to the starting procedures this year. Used to be 3 waves that went off every half an hour. This time it's 5 waves that will be heading off pretty much every 10 minutes. And there's a lot of reasons for that, mainly to streamline the facilities.
下面有请司仪主持鸣枪开跑仪式。
谢谢阮先生。所有第一期出发的选手，你们准备好了吗？跑步爱上一座城，奔跑传递力量，这里就是厦门马拉松。有请发令嘉宾举枪。
So we're about 10 seconds away now. The starting guns ready.
3, 2, 1.
And the 2020 C&D Xiamen Marathon is underway. The first wave of runners, including the elites, have just set off. And we should be expecting a very fast pace from the elites as always. We'll be going through, there they are at the bottom of your screen. We'll be going through who the big names are in that elite pack. And they're of course going to be setting an electric pace right off the start. Great turnout once again, and as you can see, perfect weather conditions. Very dry, hasn't been any rain for the last week now. And immediately up front I can see three of the top runners. That looks like Shura Kitata, defending champion Dejene Debela, GONFA, and Salah, Eddine, BOUNASR. And the first wave, as you can see, following off. As I was just saying before the national anthem and the VIP started the marathon this morning, 5 waves of runners that will be setting off from the start line at the Xiamen International Convention and Exhibition Center, mainly to streamline the services. Of course, every couple of kilometers you can expect the usual facilities for a gold label marathon race. There'll be refreshments, water and medical stations. And just to ease the flow of runners going through those stations, they decided this year to release the runners, 35,000 of them in 5 waves. So they've made the first turn. Now we'll be looking at the course map, of course, very, very soon. That looks like the leading Chinese runners in the pack at this very early stage of the run. I can tell you that that break is onto Huizan Road, and that's going to take them onto the real main body of the marathon, which will be on Kwandao Road or the East Island and South Island Ring Boulevards. As I said, we'll be looking at that course very soon, and we'll also be breaking down not only what's happening on the track, but as we do run past some of these amazing attractions in Xiamen, we'll be giving you a bit of background on that as well, because it's a beautiful, beautiful city, one of the favorite running destinations of these elites. Everybody loves coming here to run, and it has been dubbed, of course, Marathon City. Plenty of marathons, of course, around China. Very, very big ones, Beijing and Shanghai, but also Danzhou, Lanzhou, Suzhou, Chongqing. And it's a good staple area, and some 300 marathons around China every year. It's a good staple area for these elites to come and get their earliest results as a benchmark for the year. Of course, the big news, as always at any marathon, is going to be the battle between Kenya and Ethiopia. And I can tell you that's going to be raging today as well. And it's actually a very interesting stat when you do break it down. Over the last 18 years, here's something for you. Kenya actually has more overall wins in the men's division, 10 wins, 6 Ethiopian wins, and 1 Chinese win in 2007. But in the women's discipline, and there's some very strong runners in the women's discipline as well today, well, the surprise stat there is that not one Kenyan runner, women's Kenyan runner, has won this marathon in the past. There are the elites, Shura Kitata, Dejene Debela, and Salah, Eddine, the 3 top ones. Mohamed ZIANI also worth looking out for. And in the women's, well, we know Li Zixuan, one of the fastest runners in China, but also Melissa Araja, Heiyin Li, the other Chinese runner that's going to be looking to hopefully top the stats. But as I said just before then, no Kenyan woman has ever won the Xiamen Marathon in now, well, this is the 18th edition, so 18 years. So complete dominance really from Ethiopia, especially in the most recent years in the women's discipline. The Ethiopian women have now picked up the title in the last 10 years straight. So Kenya definitely looking to break the mold there. Of course, 6 wins for Ethiopia in the men's discipline, and 3 of them coming in the last 3 years. Birhanu in 2017, and then defending champion Dejene Debela GONFA in 2018 and 2019. And by the way, he is also the first ever defending champion at the Xiamen Marathon. And behind them, the elites, as always, in very good spirits, very early in the morning. Thousands and thousands of runners. So with 5 minutes in now, it looks like the elites are heading down the first part of the Island Ring Boulevard. And there's a good shot there of some of the elevation, and that's a perfect shot of the weather. Really good running conditions, as I said. Looking good so far. Big pack of runners. And the second wave, by the looks of it, is all ready. And the second wave is go as well. 3 more waves coming after this. And this very much consisting of runners like you and me who have come out for a very fun day out at the Xiamen Marathon. Not really about running styles, but I'm sure that a lot of them have a personal best, with this marathon being in existence now for the last 18 years. Brisk start as they break out of the exhibition center and onto Huizan Road. And that's the energy that we see every year here in Xiamen. It will diminish, of course, as you'd expect, slightly over the 42 kilometers, but you'd be surprised exactly how many of them do manage to keep their spirits up. Very much a civic tradition now, this race. And some of these runners have not only been training for weeks, but they were up this morning at about 4 to 5 a.m. to get logged in and registered. That's a sweeping shot of the Xiamen International Convention Exhibition Center, which has some new buildings actually this year. It's a new exhibition hall that we should see a shot of coming up, and of course a new conference center as well. As they make their way up to Huizan Road, just the entry of it. This is almost the entry point, as I said, to the main trunk of the course, which will be on Hondao Road and will follow the coast. So 2 paces up at the front, and see if we can identify a few faces in that early pack. I'm expecting our defending champion, Dejene Debela, to be running a negative split, pace himself for the first half of the marathon up to 22 kilometers, and then try and pick up the pace. And one of the interesting things about Dejene actually is his ability to really save some fuel for the last couple of kilometers, because all marathons really only pick up at about 35 kilometers, and he manages to have that speed. Don't forget, since last year he's also won the Beijing Marathon, so very established runner right now. And that looks like Shura Kitata, small frame but leading up front right now. And this is the course map. That is the Xiamen International Convention Exhibition Center, as you can see, breaking on to the Island Ring Road, and that will take them following the coast past some of the big attractions in Xiamen. They'll be following that all the way. There's some 30 kilometers of that's the Shimao Towers they'll be going past at kilometer 14. Then they turn inland and they'll move up through Lujiang Avenue. They'll go past the statue of Egret Goddess and then turn back down. Slightly different ending turning point. Past the Shimao Towers again. Past the Xiamen Calligraphy Art Plaza. And then the Hulishan Fortress at 31 kilometers before making their way past that Sifit logo. Then they cut back inside once again, but not quite yet. First they have to go past that the new buildings of the conference center and then back into the Xiamen International Convention Center. That's the full route for both the men's and the women's today. And already 3.27 kilometers in at 10 minutes. That's a good pace from the elites. They're looking to be running about 3 minutes per kilometer if they want to keep into, or be in the ballpark, I should say, of the event record. They'll probably have to be running about a little bit quicker than that, 2:45, 2:40 even, if they're going to be hitting anywhere close to the world record. If you are a long distance running fan, I'm sure you are, and that's why you're watching from the 40 countries that this broadcast is going out to today, then you'll of course know that last year was a very big year for world records, and that 2 Kenyan runners, and that's ironic of course, because they may not be winning the current records here in Xiamen, but they do have the world records. Eliud Kipchoge, we all know of course, has set some incredible times, but there was what has been deemed now an unofficial run in Vienna in October, which he did actually break 2 hours, but that's, as I said, not officially recorded. That was a 1:59.40. Because it wasn't officially recorded, that means the world record is still 2:01.39. Incredibly fast stuff, which was set in Berlin in 2018. But the reason that October was such a huge month for world records was because the 15-year-old record by UK marathoner Paula Radcliffe was broken in the women's division by another Kenyan, Bridget Kosgei, in Chicago with a 2:14.04. And that looks like wave 3 at the start line, ready to go. And they are off. 2 more waves coming after this. Once again, this 35,000 balloted runners. When I say balloted, they were picked from the 82,000 that were registered. These are actually just tiny numbers if you think about it. The complete or the total amount of runners that have taken part in the Xiamen Marathon over 17 years. Since it has become one of the most professional runs in China. The numbers have actually reduced slightly. There was some 77,000 that have taken part in 2014. And that was, of course, when there was a half marathon as well. But moving towards this professional side of things. And that is a great sight to see this early in the morning. All of them taking advantage of almost perfect running conditions today. 16 degrees as we saw. And not many of them in fancy dress today. We have seen that happen in the last couple of years. A lot of them looking more businesslike in running apparel. There is a mini carnival, in fact, that happens around this marathon where you can, if you do need to top up on any of your apparel or kit, then you can, within the confines of the convention center, pick up everything you need to make your personal best better. And for some of these guys, personal best might be 3 hours, might be 3.5 hours. The point is that they've taken part in one of the biggest marathons to be held in China. And to reflect those very varied personal bests, these roads that have been closed off all around Xiamen City will be closed and opened at staggered times over the next 5-6 hours to allow them perfect running pace. No rushing needed. Of course, a lot of these guys will be adopting a walk-run strategy. It's not necessarily about running. It's about smiling, as you can see, and waving. Coverage, as always, every year, from every angle. Definitely some people in good spirits today. And already you can see the elites are breaking away from that pack of some 35,000 other runners. These guys will be, of course, looking at a full run. There's no option really, at a full run strategy. The pacers will be up front, just to maintain. Pacers will most probably drop off halfway through the race once they've set enough of a pace for them. Rabbits, they're sometimes known as. There they are. Pacers have been actually in use on long distance runs since about 1950. Almost a part of marathon running now. A lot of people have some controversial views as to whether paces should be in races or whether they shouldn't. But generally speaking, most of the runners around the world think they are a great benefit to have, and we're very happy to have them here today. We go past that in the background, the CIFIT logo. It's a very beautiful logo. Symbolizes some of the business and trade happens here in China and Xiamen. Looking at that time, 16 minutes, roughly 5.49 kilometers. Still a good pace there. That looks like a running club that has come out this morning. Great many running clubs in and around the city. Now that still looks like Shura Kitata up front with the paces. In fact, he seems to be giving the pace to the paces. There he is. Shura Kitata TOLA from Ethiopia, 23 years old. By far the fastest man on the field today. 2:04.49 is his personal best, set in 2018 in London. And wouldn't that be something? I was just talking about the world records just now. It's pretty highly unlikely that even a 2:01 or a 2:02 is going to be seen today, but we have seen the course record is, of course, Moses Mossop from 2015. That was a great year for running at the Xiamen Marathon, as both the course records were set in 2015. Moses Mossop from Kenya with a 2:06.19, and Mare Dibaba from Ethiopia in the women's with a 2:19.52. And a 2:19.52 is not that far off that world record of 2:14. Just 5 minutes back. Now that might look like they're going uphill, but they're not. That's just a view from the motorcycle. I can tell you now, at 6 kilometers, that is an elevation of about 10 meters, but generally flat. It says Run Tiger on that. That's the running club. And it's a time to get seen, and a time to really see if all that training has paid off. Great shot there of that Island Ring Road. As we look at the Xiamen International Convention and Exhibition Center. And you can just see off there on your right of your screen the new buildings I was talking about, the exhibition hall and the conference center. And there's some very big events that are going to be happening there. Golden Rooster Movie Festival is one of them. That's going to be happening in the exhibition hall. And the BRICS Country Summit. The BRICS countries meeting up here. Just another part of an international angle that Xiamen has as we look at Shura Kitata. Now breaking off with the paces. Very fast pace from him. Still looking good at 20 minutes. For all our runners so far. Interesting fact about Shura Kitata, actually trains with Mare Dibaba. Means he's training with an Olympic medalist. And of course the course record holder here. So I wonder if she gave him a few tips as to how he would address this course. And that looked like just behind him, our defending champion, Dejene Debela GONFA. This is looking good early on at 6 kilometers even, because those two are the fastest men on the field. And this looks like wave 4. 21 minutes has started. Everywhere you look, there's just more and more people taking part in today's 2020 C&D Xiamen Marathon. Now both of those groups of runners, packs of runners, I'm going to say the average runners and the elites will actually cross as the elites come back on Honda Road, as they're bound to make the turning off point much quicker. If I'm right, that looks like Mohamed ZIANI. He's also no stranger to China marathons. He just looked at the back of, looked to be at the back of that leading pack of elites. ZIANI has raced in Wuhan last year, Guangzhou, 2018 and 2017. Picked up a 2:10.44 in Guangzhou, which is an incredible time. That's a great shot there of some of the different elevations you get on this course. That's why Honda Road has been used for so many years, because it has so many elevations. And on that note, that's also why the turning point at the end of 21 kilometers has been changed this year. It used to be around the People's Hall. It's now cut inside a little bit. It's at Zhongshan Road Hospital, because the local organizing committee thought it would be better and smoother times if there were less steeper slopes for the runners. So a lot of fine tuning has been done to the course, not just for the elites, but for these guys as well, to make it a more streamlined experience running this marathon. There's that CIFIT logo again, very important logo in China. Very much represents the massive influx of business and trade has been witnessed not just in China, but of course around the world over the last decade. And you can also see there one of the performances at the top of your screen. So many performing troops have come out to support the runners, as they do every year. Now looking at the first split at 5 kilometers, well, very close indeed. Afewerk, WOLDETENSAE, one of the big runners from last year, logged in as second. but I think the positions in this pack are going to be changing a great deal. But all eyes are going to be on that tall figure of Dejene Debela GONFA. There he is, wearing the number 2 bib. Winner in 2019 and winner in 2018 as well. All the elites so far looking very strong. Good running form as they pass the refreshment marker. For these guys, it's really about training, diet, and nutrition. That's what you do, not just before the race, but of course during the race as well. You have to keep hydrated. You have to keep that energy flowing through your legs. "40,000 full force, full acceleration steps leaves a big impact on the joints and muscles. So you need to keep that hydration coming through. And of course, these elites have turned into energy machines now, really. And it really is about how their training has been. Managed to catch up with a couple of them at the pre-race press conference yesterday. And all of them said that they were in good spirits ahead of this race. And their training had been pretty much spot on. That's great to see. All about the spirit of the race. Just see the different running styles. Some of them trying to keep up with elite running form. You can see there these bent arms pivoting nicely, but that's perfect running form there. Good stride length, good cadence, leaning forward, and the pivot of the arms, almost like a pendulum motion. Keep the head straight, looking up, you can block your airway. That's the leading Chinese runner right now. Also showing very good running form. It's important to have a straight back. But look at the pace that Shura Kitata TOLA is showing right now. Wushu demonstration at the side of the road. Beach as well. Really is perfect conditions, not too much sun to dehydrate the body. Very early in the morning still, just coming past 8 a.m. now, so the sun should be coming up about half an hour. It is already up, but the cloud cover right now is making it very cool conditions. It's Yang Dinghong, one of the famous names in China. Shen is another one. Dong Wujian. And how many times have we seen a different type of running style from the citizens of Xiamen, and that is, of course, with phone in hand. You never know when you're going to need to snap a selfie. Been waiting for this day for quite a while. There are the elites now screaming away from the rest of the pack. That's, again, perfect running form. Small, fatigue-resistant muscles, very small frame. It's not about mass in long-distance running. It's about being an economical runner. Making sure that gravity's doing most of the work and just pushing you forward. You're just helping that along. And not hindering that process in any way. But as we said, hydration, even if the sun isn't out, even if it's perfect conditions, marathon runners can generally lose about 1 liter of sweat an hour, believe it or not. And as we look at those elites, wave number 5 has left the International Conference and Convention Center. These 5 waves have been chosen, as I said, to make it a little bit easier in terms of, or a little bit more efficient, I should say, when going through some of the refreshment spots. But it's not the only initiative that has been put in place this year. There's a 3-pronged charity program that's also been put into effect by the local organizing committee. And that's blue and green initiatives. Red being poverty alleviation, green being ecology and the environment, and blue, of course, one of the biggest problems these days in the world, less plastic and clean seas. And really, with those 3 aims and a lot of side initiatives, for example, just cutting off the paper and looking at more digital. Well, that's very interesting at 10 kilometers, as one of our leaders has pulled up with what looks like a hip or a high thigh injury. I'm just going to have to identify exactly who that is, but he's not going to be running, and that could be from problems in warm-up. It's a bit early on, has to be said, for it to be any kind of aerobic problem. Well, one of our leaders has dropped out early on here. Women's race as well. Being flanked by a lot of male runners. Be interesting to see who's leading that pack. At 10 kilometers now. Heading downhill. And that should put them just next to the Hulishan Fortress. Now there is the women's pack, just you can see, just in the middle and behind these male runners. They should be coming through. I think I can see the slight frame. Of our 2 leading women in there. Medina Armino, current defending champion after a fantastic run last year against Chaso and Sermu. Looks like Dejene Debela GONFA has moved to the back of that pack now. Not unexpected at all. And meanwhile, the electric pace shown by the elites is moving towards that second half of Honda Road. Heading towards Shimao Towers. They should be
今年的
going
相马是我连续第18年参赛，
Xiamen University.
也是我完成的第100个全程马拉松比赛。厦门马拉松从无到有，从有到好，18年的成长故事里有太多精彩的回忆。如今，厦门马拉松已成长为国内领先的马拉松赛事。
So 11 runners in this pack.
获评首批国家体育旅游金
including the 2 paces, so 9 really.
12年荣获国际田联颁发的国际田联路跑金标赛事，迄今为止，下马能保持着中国境内马拉松男子最好成绩。599号是我
Heading uphill now.
终身号码。我有一个愿望，希望能一直考到99。
And they should be seeing the famous Xiamen University on their right side. And I do mean famous when I say famous. Some 40,000 enrolled students, and that university that's actually linked to some 200 over universities around the world as well. It's national pride and international pride. That is the defensive fort, that is the Hulishan Fortress, one of the many historical sightseeing attractions here in Xiamen. If history is your thing, then you can always come down here and check out the Hulishan Fortress. Some 7,000 square meters of ammunition depots, secret tunnels. Really is quite an exciting place. Always find a bit of energy for a shout to the camera. Really is a sight to see when you have this many runners out this morning. Now that looked like it's a beautiful shot, as they look like they're on Birhanu Bridge now. A shot of Dejene Debela from Ethiopia at the back of this pack. There he is in the white, or middle of this pack I should say. 2:11.16 last year in Chongqing, 2:14 in Lanzhou, which I watched. Very fast runners in this pack. They're running just above the sea. Looking at the split for the men there, Shura, Kitata, TOLA still leading the way. There's Duba. Right in the middle of that pack. He's actually running just behind our defending champion, Dejene Debela GONFA right now. And right next to him is Robert KWAMBAI from Kenya.
好的，回到空中，现在前方选手们正奔跑在演武大桥上啊。
So a very tight pack up here behind the paces. And all of them looking in good stead so far as they pick up yet more refreshments at 12.38 kilometers. This is one of the highest parts of this first part of the race. It's up to about 15 kilometers in elevation. But it's a very slight gradient that goes up, so I can expect it. They're the beautiful Shimao towers that make up the skyline here at Xiamen City. You can just see how wonderful that bridge is as well. It just off the shore. Very low supports as well, so you do get to see the full view. And it was designed that way. 6 two-way non-stop lanes. And it's been around now for about 19 years. Well, it was built 19 years ago, but has been in operation for about 16, 17 years. Multiple expressway. And there is Xiamen University. Fully equipped campus, 40,000 students, and world-renowned and well-respected. That's, I think, probably the only term you can use for it. not just nationally, but also, as I said, with campuses all around the world. So a good influx of students coming in and out of it. And a good shot there from the Air Studio. Exclusive helicopter available to us to see some of these sights of Xiamen from the air. Now there's Duba in that white vest, now very significant. GONFA, you can see now moving into top spot. And it would have to be said, based on what we've seen so far, that might have actually been Shura Kitata that pulled up with the hamstring. We're going to have to get confirmation of that. That's the statue of Zheng Chenggong on Gulanyu Island. And that looks like the women's pack. Yes, I can see them just in the middle of that, always flanked by some of the male runners. We're going to have to see exactly who's up front there when we get these splits out. Now, this is a slightly different twist to the course as well. It's not just the beginning and the ending which has changed, but also the runners heading up, or a bit of extra elevation this year. Last year, you could just see the road behind them. That's where they went down. Options available to them when you have a beautiful structure like the Yanwu Bridge. Now I'm just looking at this leading pack of men's elites again, and still, unless Shura Kitata has found a spot right in the middle of that pack, we're going to have to say he was probably the man to pull up with the hamstring. So a little bit too quick from him. He did race away from the pack, it has to be said. But we didn't get a quick enough look at the runner when he did stop up, but he's now missing, noticeably missing from the front of that pack. So 41 minutes in now. And still that army of runners, smiles on their faces, heading up that very wide road. This is one of the reasons why you can run such a huge run here in Xiamen City, because the roads are so beautiful and perfect for running. They're very wide, about 40 to 60 meters. And as you can see, there are lots of space on either side of those 40 to 60 meters for spectators to come in and actually watch the action as well.
你好，你好。你好，在不同的比赛上都见到你哈，所以这场夏马对你来讲是一个新年什么样的一个开启的一个赛事？
我对夏马特别有期待，因为挺有情感的。这是我第8个夏美马拉松了。
On the spot interviews there, and great to see how he was running on the spot as well.
所以我赶紧来了。然后这个马拉松真的赛道特别好，今天天气
That is
特别的凉爽。
Gulanyu Island.
大家挺开心的，我看氛围也特别好。就这个城市
Ferries that
马拉松氛围，这个城市
can be sent over to that island,
然后一来这儿就发现，从出租车司机到旅
the
店，
island of pianos as it's known. Now the women just onto Yanwu Bridge, roughly 12 kilometers in, so they'll be heading uphill now.
一场跑进20年代的一个比赛来讲哈，你最大的期待是什么？
我最大的期
And it looks like all of our main competitors are in there. I think I can see Medina,
新的风景，然后遇到新的人，然后
our defending champion, in there,
打造一个最具体
and Mare Dibaba.
说了这些，你有没有感觉到你是第几枪出发的？有没有感觉到这个分枪出发的好处啊？
我是第4枪出发的。
Looking for Li Xuan,
它其实刚开始的赛道比较窄一点，然后大家就会比较有序。
Medina Armino in there. I think I can definitely see her.
卫生
And of course, Malaysia Araje, who's the fastest lady in the pack. She looks like she's in there. We had a chat with her yesterday at the press briefing.
太快，因为像我们这种大众选手来说，可能
And she clearly stated that her aim is to win this women's title here this year. So, with a fast time and a fast personal best and a statement of intent like that, you'd have to say it looks like she might be doing it. But once that pack clears up a little, there's a lot of male runners up at the front just obstructing the view, then we can see exactly who is leading that. I can see Medina Amino just there, just behind that blue pacer. So she looks like she's setting the pace amongst the women. Once again, the big stat, no Kenyan woman has ever won the Xiamen Marathon. Will that be broken today? We're going to have to wait and see. Still looking for Shura, Kitata, TOLA in this leading pack. I can see Mohamed ZIANI at the back. I can see Dubert in the middle. I can see GONFA up front. Well, GONFA's actually dropped back a little bit now. He's just hanging off the shoulder of Dubert. A lot of changes happening in this leading men's pack. There in the orange top, we have Birhanu GEBRU, who may have just taken the temporary lead. Yes, he has. There you go. You can see that's a personal best of 2:09 in the 2019 Cape Town Marathon. Was also put in a 2:09 in Osaka in Japan. And Birhanu GEBRU, a 2:10.38 in China last year in the Dongying Marathon. I did say many of these runners have used these Chinese marathons to really build up their own personal bests. Quick refreshment stop for GEBRU. There's the men's and the women's. As you can see, the women currently about 2 kilometers back. And still looking good. 46 minutes in, 15 kilometers completed for the men, 13 for the women. Now that looks like Medina, just in the middle there. Seems to move back a little bit. Very strong field in the women's event this year. And let's not, of course, forget the likes of Zinash Getachew, also from Ethiopia, and the Belarusian record holder, Vola Mazuronak. Just looking to see if she's in that pack. So far, nothing. They must be wave 5 runners, still smiling hard. And this is what we remember every year here in January in Xiamen. Beautiful roads, full to the brim by beautiful people, and of course the elites. So there is a split for women. It looks like, well, how about that? It's just a full Ethiopian sweep right now. Medina Amina, defending champion, sitting nice and pretty in the middle of that pack. There she is in the green top. Last year's winner. Put in a very exciting race with Shasa and Semu. Went down to the last kilometer. Very good running style, as you can see, as you look at side on there. Good arm position, good stride length, good cadence, good rhythm. Now to look at some of the other runners in that pack. Looks like Haiwot Yeme front there. That just goes to show you all ages running today. Very much a family day out. Bobbing heads. 35,000 people. We had to register some time ago to actually be part of the marathon. They said there was a ballot system in place because so many people oversubscribed race. So there was a ballot to pick from 82,000, cut it down to 35,000. And then of course you have to make sure that those 35,000 have their timing bibs, or their bibs, sorry, their timing chips, and know exactly what they need to do, roll call, and which wave they're leaving from. It's a lot of organization, and as always, executed quite perfectly by the local organizing committee. So the main women's pack now moving to the right of this bigger pack. Maybe trying to get some clear air from this group of men's runners that are running alongside them. That looks like the Yacht Club. Pretty certain that's a Yacht Club. That's at the east of Wandao Road. And it very, as you can see, very comprehensive yacht club with lots of berths in it, 150 waterside villas, 700 yachts can actually berth there, 3.5 billion yuan to make that, and a platinum 5-star hotel in the middle of that compound as well. Really amazing place. In fact, voted as the best seashore development project in Asia in 2008. Unbelievable accolades. Not the first accolade that Xiamen City has picked up for one of its buildings or the city itself. It's picked up a number of ecological and innovation awards, being a vibrant special economic zone. It's won a United Nations Habitat City Award, China Habitat Environment Award, 10 most livable cities in China, but also UNESCO and some of the other global areas have, global bodies I should say, have recognized this city and its bridges and its buildings as being quite phenomenal. Now, the sun is peaking up above the clouds as we expected, and that is going to be very significant because it's going to mean that these runners are going to start heating up. Cloud cover has managed to keep things a little bit cool, but with zero rain over the last 24 hours, in fact the last 72 hours, that means when the sun comes out and you can see things brightening up already, it's going to mean on the skin a lot more rehydration is called for. That looked like a very bad pickup there from one of the ladies. There's Medina Amino. She's picked up fine, and that energy that she's converting seems to be bang on target right now. Leading the pack again for the second year, Medina Amino. Unmistakable running form that she has. Very tight on the shoulders, but it means that she keeps a very good gait. Very economical runner, as we said, and that's what it's all about. It's about energy economy when it comes down to these elites. They have VO2 max engines that essentially convert energy on the go. So everyone starts really quickly, but it's not about the legs, it's about your heart and your mind, your lactate, turning oxygen into pure energy constantly, and making sure that ATP and glycogen are all in good stead so that those muscles can keep firing and keep loose and flexible, because the last thing you want is, of course, one of those muscles to stiffen up, and that could lead to a chain reaction, as we saw earlier by what looks like, it must be confirmed now, Shura Kitata TOLA could have been the early retiring elite. That's Birhan GEBRU making her full marathon debut. A very fast half marathon runner, 109.25. So this is almost coming up to her usual finish spot. She also did a 109.33 at the Yangzhou half marathon. But first full marathon for her, be interesting to see what time she puts down for that. A lot of these runs only really started recently. There's GONFA, full frame, number 2 bib, sitting back nicely. Currently allowing KWAMBAI to lead up front. That's Mohamed ZIANI in the orange top at the back from Morocco. Looking at these splits for the women, well, Medina has slipped back a little bit. It's Zerfi Tesema up front now, Getachew Yema and Birhan, but still an all Ethiopian sweep. If you think about that stat I was talking about earlier, last 10 years have seen 10 straight wins for Ethiopia in the women's discipline, and now you've got 5 Ethiopian ladies up front here in 2020. So it's looking like it's going to be win number 11 at this point. Absolutely no Kenyan runner in there in the women's marathon. There are a few in the men's marathon as they approach the turning back point now. Electric pace shown as usual by the elites. If you have just joined us, wherever you are watching in the world, whether it's on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, or some of the 40 countries that are watching, this is the 2020 C&D Xiamen Marathon, and we're just about reaching halfway point there for the men's marathon. Women's marathon about 2 kilometers behind them. So for the men, it will be now heading back down that track that they've been running up. All the elevations will turn into declensions. The difference is, of course, it's going to be hotter now. And later on in the morning. And of course, it will also include kilometers 28 to 34. Generally speaking, are the highest elevations on this course. The elevation generally varies between 5 meters and 10 meters and 15 meters, but that 50-meter elevation they climb up to between 28 and 34 kilometers. And as you can imagine, at 28 to 34 kilometers, it is felt on the hamstrings and it's definitely felt on the Achilles and the knees. Nanbuto Temple, another one of these sites for us, really, as the runners will be very focused on making sure their turn is fine. beautiful historical artifacts, and there are egrets. Those are snowy white egrets which flock in their thousands to this island city. Really beautiful to see when they do come together. And that's Nanputo Temple, founded in the Tang Dynasty. So many dynasties in China. It's a temple of 1,000 years is what it's known as. I think we can absolutely confirm now from that shot that Shura, Kitata, TOLA, the fastest man, logged on as we look again at Nanputo Temple, and you can just see there some of the wonderful, intricate details of it. Terraces and pools, pagodas, the lotus pool in the middle. One of the many tourist attractions. Should you make your way out to Xiamen, you should definitely go and see it. But I was saying just before we cut to that I think we can say with some certainty now that the fastest man on the men's elite list, Shura, Kitata, TOLA, was that early retirement at just 10 kilometers, and it looked like it was a hip problem, but he was streaking away. So a bit of a shock result there for him. Now spreading out a little bit, men's elites. As we just check in and say a quick hi. And we get a quick hi back. Big fans of the Xiamen Marathon for many years now.
2003年，刚满20岁的我参加了首届厦门马拉松，很荣幸成为厦马永久号的首批拥有者。
So the elites have come in for their refreshment stop at 20 kilometers. Not surprised to see a lot of them picking up their refreshments now. Now you can just see them as they drink and then they put those cups down. Another one of the initiatives happening today, which I can quickly tell you about before we get into this real second half of the race, is a green run. There is actually a 6th wave, and that is after the 5 waves of runners. There is a wave of new runners that will be running the course to pick up any of the litter and the recyclable cups that have been thrown away by the runners. That's a fantastic initiative. It means that the Xiamen Marathon essentially cleans up amongst itself. Now, the pacers have seemed to have left their pack behind them. Dejene Debela GONFA just checking his time. He's definitely now leading that pack. You can see ZIANI at the back. I can see Duba on the left side. Eight runs in this elite pack now, heading uphill. Always important to keep hydrated. That's ZIANI at the back, Stube on the other side. Now GONFA beginning to stretch his legs a little bit at the front. Looking good so far, we have to say, Dejene, for his 3rd win. What a headline that would be if he could be the first ever man to have won 3 consecutive Xiamen International Marathons. Wow. Look at that. He's 20 seconds ahead now. And all of them, GEBRU, ZIANI just off that pack. Still looking really good. Now, what Dejene Debela has done in the last 2 years is exactly this. He's put on the jets around about 22, 24 kilometers and raced ahead after that. usually had 1 or 2 people running with him. And then really in the last 3 or 4 kilometers has turned into almost a sprinter, because he really did put on a lot of pace last year. Finished with a 2:09 in the end. Looking good here so far. It's one of the... Well, that's where we saw that wushu demonstration happening a little bit earlier on. Beautiful sail-like buildings, music square. One of the many attractions you can find on this very long coastal road known as the Golden Coastline. And as I said earlier, this is the point when the elites will be crossing over with the rest of the runners. Those runners, of course, will be at kilometer 17 right now, so they're heading towards the turning back point, and they get a glimpse of who's in the lead. As you can see, a lot of them very interested in that piece of information, as you would be. Those 5 kilometer splits are so important in the end. Not necessarily about being young. Most of these guys, of course, mid-20s. But Eliud Kipchoge, the current world record holder, 35 years old. It's not really about age, gives you the experience on the distance itself, the whole 42.195 kilometers. You might lose some speed as you get older, but it's that experience that can still keep you in the records and definitely in the titles as well. Looking at some of these runners, it's a shame that we do no longer have Shura Kitata with us. Salah Eddine is the other big name that we should be looking out for here. Also from Morocco. That might be Salah. Just looking for that number 3 bib if he's there. Now, just behind GONFA, I can tell you, that's Birhan, who was another one of the good finishers last year. There he is, just hanging off the shoulder of Dejene Debela. And that's exactly what he did last year as well. Really, really good performance from Birhan TESFAYE. Last year, picked up a 2:09.36 and finished in 3rd in the end, with his personal best being a 2:06.52 last year in Lisbon. So all of these runners have hit round about a 2:06 to a 2:10, and that puts him in good stead for picking up this title. Whether Moses Mossop's 2015 title of 2:06 will be beaten today, we'll have to see. But so far, all looking for a good run out. Now that's the women's pack. Just looking to see where the green top of Medina Armino is. Well, it's now currently being led by a couple of other ladies. And these male runners acting as paces for these ladies. Breaking up from the pack for refreshments. So important to make sure that when you do pick up refreshments, it's in your stride and you lose no time doing it. How many times in the past we've seen just a very confused approach towards the refreshment stations. Dubé could have been a little bit faster on that one, you could say, or a little bit smoother on that one. But he's still back with the pack. So strong showing from these top 8 men right now as they enter the kilometer 23, which will see them. That's CHEBOROR from Kenya, getting himself rehydrated. Kennedy CHEBOROR, 2:06.59 runner. That was in Daegu in South Korea. And has run some Chinese marathons as well. 2:13.43 was his best, 2018 in Chongqing. All very good, credible results that have been picked up by these guys in the last couple of years, all putting them to use right now on this, one of the most famous marathons in China, Wuyanwan Wetland Park. That's a great shot of that wetland park. No surprise to find a lot of ecological and green areas in Xiamen. That almost a labyrinth structure. But that's one of the reasons why it has won ecological awards over the last 5-10 years. Now back with the men's elites. Good running form being shown by a defending champion, I can tell you. Big wave from the rest of the runners as the elites go by. They can't allow themselves to get distracted, of course. Two Kenyan paces. Ethiopian leader. Well, it looks now that KWAMBAI has come up front and just edged ahead of Dejene. KWAMBAI just in the middle. Kennedy CHEBOROR off on the right. Dejene on the left. Rounding 23 kilometers. Oh, Dejene has now moved a little bit back. Birhan is in front of him as well. That's good. That's KERIO. Reuben KERIO. 2:07 flat. This is the second time that they're going past Birhanu Island on that very famous statue.
现在是所有大部队的最后一个方阵了哈，是我们的绿跑方阵。我看到你们的这个号码布都是绿色的，所以叫绿跑在行动，是吗？对，参加的是绿跑。
As Birhan TESFAYE, you can see number 5 bib just in the middle, setting up a good pace. Dejene, his Ethiopian compatriot, the blue and green, has now settled back in that pack. There he is, you can just see him off the shoulder of that pacer. We've got KERIO on the other side, you've got Duba at the back. ZIANI still holding form as well. And none of these guys looking like they're going to be relinquishing their position anytime soon. What you want to do is keep in a good position so you can make a lunge for the front, run about 35 kilometers, because that's really where the fun and games is going to start. On the Yanwu Bridge again, moving past Shimao Tiles for the second time. No visible signs of fatigue or stress on any of the faces. In fact, Birhan TESFAYE looking very calm and relaxed indeed. I wonder if this is going to be Birhan's race. He was the only person to put real pressure on his compatriot last year. And I myself did award him the Most Valuable Runner Award last year for just putting in a very strong strategy from start to finish.
厦门马拉松的一名志愿者，做好18岁下马的志愿工作，
The paces are looking a little bit ragged as they head uphill here. Remember, this is where things start to really elevate. 24 to 28 is the big climb. And you can just see it on the other side of the road there. And then at 28 to 34, you'll maintain that elevation of 15 meters before you start slowly coming down again at 35 to 37. So this a very tough part of the marathon that the men are about to run through. So we check in with the women who look to have broken away from that main pack of men that was running with them. Which is kind of expected. These elites always going to come through. They are currently at, well, they're about to be turning back on from Lujiang Avenue onto Huandao Road, and then they themselves will get onto the bridge. So the pace is now streaking away on this uphill stretch, and the pack instead is keeping it very nice and tight. And also conserving energy. And it's here that the biggest stride length of the likes of Dejene Debela GONFA will start coming through. Turning back point for, that would have to be wave 1 or wave 2, I'm thinking. And still looking like they're putting in a pretty good pace. Well trained. Yes, good strength shown by all of these guys this year. One of the paces has dropped off, and it's round about here that we do see that happening. Well, no. In fact, he hasn't dropped off. He's just moved ahead. There is Birhan TESFAYE, as you can see, with a bit of refreshment, but still looking lean and mean at the moment. Wants to up on his 3rd place of last year. And all the pressure is on his compatriot, as GONFA can't up his position. All he can do is make it 3 wins in a row, which would in itself be quite the achievement. There is, of course, as you'd expect, prize money available for breaking the circuit record, and a lot of money for breaking the world record, but we're definitely not going to be breaking the world record today. Now, the leading women seem to have formed their own breakaway pack here. This is the turn off from Lujiang Avenue back onto Huandao Road. Good form being shown by all of them right now. It's really good running style. Roads have been watered. There was no rain to speak of. There may have been a bit of dew and fog. Just moistened up a little bit, but definitely not that slippery underfoot. The asphalt, very good surface for running on. Yang Dinghong still looking very strong. As we check back in with the men's elites, you can see, our defending champion has now again taken his position at the top of this pack. That's ZIANI running at the back with Reuben KERIO. They're bringing up the back. It looks like KWAMBAI in the middle. Robert KWAMBAI with 207 flat as his personal best. He's in the middle. Yang Dinghong not so far away from that leading pack at all, just 2.2 or 200 meters away. Always a good result for Chinese runners if they can keep anywhere close to this pack of elites. Very much want to set their own personal best as well. So one of the pacers has left this pack. That just means it's a nice clear view. ZIANI, Duba, KERIO at the back of that pack. Just saw them. Great shots being beamed and broadcasted around the world right now. So 27 kilometers is what they're approaching. That means they'll be crossing the Xiamen University again. This time it'll be on their left, on the other side of the road. There's Robert KWAMBAI, KERIO now leading up front. Dejene has decided to sit back a little bit now with Birhan. Those are the two Ethiopian runners that we're looking for a big performance from. ZIANI on the other side. But all of them matching themselves stride for stride at the moment, hydrating well and keeping a very good pace. "27 kilometers completed, and this is halfway through the incline. You're now hitting about 10 meters elevation. You've still got another 5 to climb, and that will be climbed in this kilometers. This really is the big. Meanwhile, about 4 kilometers back, we have the women. They're actually starting that climb now. Tough part of the race, I can tell you. Not easy when you've been running at 3 minutes a kilometer to suddenly have to increase the elevation by 10 meters. Not easy at all. But you do have the mental boost of knowing that you're past the halfway mark. Somewhere at the end of this road will be the finish line. Slightly different configuration for the finish line this year. They've added a couple more kilometers. It's always been the case to run past the convention center, then loop back, come back down, but this time it's a little bit longer, and that'll take us up to the Shanshan Yacht Club. Altogether a far more streamlined course this year. while using the fundamentals of the traditional course that has been raced for the last 17 years. Good shot there of both the leading packs. You can see about 3 kilometers between them, but the men really slogging uphill now. That's the highest part of the course they're on. The women heading up there now. A gradual increase from 24 to 26, and then at 27 to 29 drive, we'll really feel. And looking in there, still see Medina just off on the left of your screen, our defending champion. And just in front of her, is Zinash Getachew, who is actually in the blue top. And her teammate, Zerfi Tessem. Both of them in the blue tops. Very established runners, as we said, very strong field. Zerfi Tessem with a 2:26.48 last year in Paris. Zinash Getachew with a 2:27.15 here in China in 2018 in Guangzhou. But she's also put in very good times in Seville, 2:27, Beirut, 2:30, and Sydney, Australia, 2:33 as well. International runners, and there she is, Zinash Getachew, right in the center of that pack. Now, just behind her in the red top, you can see the fastest woman on paper, Melissa Araja, 2:19.36 in Dubai. There she is.
平时我们在海面上见到最多的是海鸥，但是在这一片海面上，最多的却是盘旋飞翔的白鹭。
Getachew. Beautiful shot from the helicopter there. That looks like the Langyu Ferry port. And that should be where the women are running past right now. That certainly looks it. They've now settled in just behind these male runners once again. But all front runners that you'd expect to see in that pack right now. Melissa Araje, right in the middle of the pack. Zerfi Tessem. All making sure. Medina Amina, of course, our defending champion, Zinash Getachew as well. And I'm just looking to see whether we've got any of our Chinese runners up in there. Heian Li, no, not yet. Must be a little bit further back. That is Gulangyu Islet, just off Xiamen Island. Lots of historical, quaint artifacts in there, and of course a lot of pianos as well. That's no joke, no kidding. I say every year because it is a unique piece of information that the density of pianos on this island is unmatched here, possibly in China, probably the world. Really is quite an impressive thing. It's about 6-7 minute ferry away from the Xiamen Island itself. And if you are visiting the area, then it's definitely one of the places you have to see. Really, really beautiful place. I wonder if any of the runners after this race are going to be staying on in Xiamen to soak in some of these attractions and beautiful places of historical interest. Back with the men's elites and looking at the structure of it, that's Mohamed ZIANI that has now begun to slow down. No fault of his own. His body is trying its hardest to stay up with the pack, but those muscles are firing a little bit slower now. Lack of salt, and not surprised to see him dropping off a little bit. So that pack is now down to 7 runners, and in that pack, still the 2 Ethiopians, Birhan TESFAYE, just ahead of our defending champion, Dejene GONFA, Kennedy CHEBOROR, Robert KWAMBAI, KERIO at the back, Dubé still in there in the white vest on the left-hand side. Any of these guys have the chance. It'll be interesting to see what happens at 35 kilometers. They're beginning to spread apart a little bit, but 35 kilometers really is the marker that defines, well, the men from the boys, really. Can you keep that pace? As we've seen, ZIANI now dropping off quite dramatically. Was a good performer in Wuhan last year, I remember. But wouldn't be surprised if he drops back even further. About to hit 30 kilometers. Birhan TESFAYE still looking determined. Once again, very good run last year. Very solid run from start to finish. Never flinched throughout all of it. Doing the same thing here again today. Now that is our defending champion that's moved to the back of the pack. I wonder if that is tactical strategy. He knows that there are a lot of runners here today that could definitely challenge him. I wonder if he's just settling back as they go up this very steep incline. Well, steep relative compared to what they were doing. And there's a walk-run strategy, or there's a walk-run and take a few pictures strategy, which is what these guys are doing to the elites. It's almost a press conference. They might not get to see them again. There's a good chance to stop off and just have a little check. Zheng Chenggong. Actually made in 1985, the 361st anniversary of Zheng Chenggong's birth. Standing, a very strong rock as well. Very famous statue here. Well, if you have just joined us, wherever you are watching in the world, this is the 2020 C&D Xiamen Marathon. What are the headlines so far? Well, the fastest man in the elites, Shura Kitata TOLA, out. Just 10 kilometers in with what looked like a hip injury. We've now seen a few other runners from the men's pack just dropping off, but still a few of the big names in there. And this quick look at the women's pack being flanked by some male runners. And a lot of names in there, including our defending champion, Medina Armino. That's a beautiful view of the Yanwu Bridge. Both sides. The elites are now running on the right side of it. And those other 5 waves, or 4 waves I should say, of runners still making their way, as you can see, thick and fast up that beautiful bridge. Quite an architectural feat to build that bridge just off the shore. And also make it as less impactful as possible visually to keep the environment at the front and center. Now, I do have to say, this year, it looks like a lot more of these runners have turned out with a very determined and professional outlook on the Xiamen Marathon. A lot less fancy dress outfits, a lot less costumes. You see them streaming past the turning back point. Many of them look like they're here for business. And they are putting in a pretty good pace as well. The roads, of course, will be open to them for many hours after this so that they can finish in their own pace and style. Now, this looks like the group of women. Yes, it is. I can just spot Medina Armino off on the left. That's a very unique running style of hers. It's very well placed. There she is. In fact, she should be a little bit further than that. But in the middle, there's Araje, Getachew. Zinash Getachew, right in the middle of that. That is Haiwat Yemet, silver ranked runner on the right side. All the Ethiopian runners wearing blue bibs. Remember, constant domination, continuous domination, I should say, from those Ethiopian runners over the last 10 years in the women's discipline. So back with the men at 31 kilometers, and it's definitely getting, well, this is already, it levels out the course up here at around 31 kilometers at that 15 kilometer elevation, and then it will start dipping at 36. But this is where these results are going to be made, and really we have to give a big round of applause to ZIANI, who's managed to pull up a bit of space here. He's not giving up at all. Dropped back, and looked like he was dropping back quite severely, but now has pulled himself back into contention by the looks of it, or at least slightly. Dejene Debela, GONFA, just biding his time in the middle of that. That's the Egret Islet Park. Many places flocking egrets will live. Another one of the beautiful water-based green ecological places of interest here in Xiamen. As you can see, flanked by all those buildings as well. It's quite stunning and startling a sight. Traditional performance, just boosting these athletes on. That's KERIO that's come up to the front now, and Robert KWAMBAI. Wow. I think that might be because Birhan and current champion GONFA are going to be settling back a little bit. How about that for a pristine statue set beautifully in the middle of that little pull-away islet. Some beautiful sights around Xiamen. Lone egret flying past it as well. It's a stunning sight. Well, that's another runner that's now joined ZIANI, just pulling back at the end of this pack. We'll have to get an idea as to who it is. I can see GONFA is still in there. I can see Birhan is still in there. KERIO is still up front. Oh, KWAMBAI, sorry, is now up front. I wonder. Was that CHEBOROR? CHEBOROR? Dubert is still in there. And CHEBOROR, or whoever that is now dropping back, is dropping back quite substantially, and I'm not expecting him to make any extra impact. And that's just more credit to Mohamed ZIANI, that was happening to him just a few kilometers away, but he still managed to pull it back. GEBRU is in there. I can see the orange vest. GONFA, TESFAYE, KWAMBAI. I wonder if Robert KWAMBAI is making an attack here. It's round about this time in the marathon we will see sustained attacks from runners. Beautiful green lung as seen from the air studio. Just speculating as to whether Robert KWAMBAI is going to be making an attack. 2:07 flat is his fastest, but what's more important, you should say, is that's a Kenyan runner that is leading the men's pack. Kenya looking to break back and get a win after 3 straight Ethiopian wins the last 3 years. That's an absolutely unbelievable structure upside of that wall, upside of that hill. So this is one of the areas that has just recently been built in Xiamen, and it's for residents and tourists to come in and get themselves a bit of relaxation in the forest. And it does actually cross the island from east to west. Very interesting structure to link both sides of the island together, but still give that green feeling, using the hills and the forest to the max. And right next to it, as you saw there, it's an industry. Coming up to 34 kilometers now for the men. And they're about to start heading downhill. It's been a very interesting evolution of this pack since the beginning. They've all stuck together since the very start. There have been people dropping off. CHEBOROR being the latest one who's now dropped off the screen as well. Mohamed ZIANI is still staying in there. Shura Kitata, the earliest retirement at 10 kilometers, and a lot was expected from him as well. But right now, all eyes on that man, number 3, Robert KWAMBAI, who's keeping ahead of both Birhan and GONFA. What news that would be if Robert KWAMBAI could deliver a victory for Kenya in the men's distance. First Kenyan win in 4 years. If it does happen, that is the man at the back of the pack. Giving special mention to him because he's really fighting something, whether it's a niggle or a knock. He's been hanging on by a thread to the pack, while others have dropped by the wayside. This is where things are going to get very interesting. KERIO now, as you can see at the back of that pack, GEBRU just ahead of him. So GEBRU, the other Moroccan runner. There are three Ethiopians, GEBRU, TESFAYE and GONFA in there. On the KWAMBAI from Kenya. Dube, who's been very solid so far, it has to be said. We haven't said enough about Dube at all. Abdisa Shome Dube, also from Ethiopia. 2:11 is his best. Set up a 2:14 last year in Lanzhou. Now that pack seems to be finally breaking away from Mohamed ZIANI. He did make a bit of a cut back in. So now they're going to be going past the entertainment complex in Girmay before they hit the very famous attraction of all the attractions on this course, the 99 marathon sculptures that have really cemented Xiamen's reputation as marathon city. And Chaser Yang Ding Hong still looking very strong. Maybe the arms swinging out a little bit more now than they should. A little bit looser on the running form. But I think that could be expected when you're into the second half of any marathon. Still a lot of smiles coming from all of these runners. Good to see. That's what it's about. Spirit, motivation. We'll just have to wait and see whether they're still going to be in great spirits. They're just hitting the turnback point now. In another 10 to 15 kilometers. As with all marathons, a lot of excitement at the start, then you settle into the run, and there is that moment of despair when you realize that, you know what, this is actually quite a serious undertaking. 42.195 kilometers for any human body is a huge undertaking. So looking at that second half of the course, that is Fengjai. Just saw it off the side of your screen. Entertainment complex, lots of fun things to do. Water sports area, food court, seaside beaches, cinemas, major functional areas. Good place for people to go and catch some clear water and blue sky.
好的，主持人，现在我们是跟随着选手啊，又回到了环。
Now, how about this? Birhan TESFAYE has had a more effective refreshment stop. He looks like he's come out on top of the pack now, and by some way as well. So this front pack beginning to splinter a little bit. GEBRU, you can see at the back, just in front of KERIO. KWAMBAI out on the left. GONFA and TESFAYE now taking the lead. Dube has switched to the other side. 35 kilometers, not long to go now. And definitely into the business end of the 2020 C&D Xiamen Marathon. Really is great to see from so many angles. Such a well-covered and broadcasted event that you can catch every detail. But it's not just about the broadcasting, it's also about the level of organization that has gone into this. 5,000 over volunteers 74 paces, and in addition to the 35,000 people, transport for the 35,000 people as well. Some 200 buses with just about free travel to bring these runners to where they need to be. Impressive stuff. Some 40 countries represented all in all, not just the elites, but from all the 35,000 runners that have come through. Now, this pack has suddenly shrunk into what looks like 3 Ethiopian runners and 2 Kenyan runners. Wow, this could be quite the grandstand finish if it stays this way. KERIO has now found his form and is up front. There are those marathon sculptures. 2 meters high, copper structures, 3 different types. There are the elites up at the front, the middle, the amateur runners, but there are also media and volunteers represented in copper. They've been here as a real symbol of Marathon City. Wow, this looks like a very determined run from KERIO, who's looking very strong indeed. You can just see that great running form from him. Shoulders nice and straight, back nice and straight, arms swinging nicely. GEBRU has come through in second spot. He's looking a little bit more labored with his run. KERIO's looking good. GONFA just between them there, you can see. Looking for his 3rd win in a row. And Birhan TESFAYE with his 2nd consecutive brilliant run here in Xiamen. I do say it like that. Didn't win last year, of course, I said, because it's just very, very reserved, conservative, very economical runner, as I said earlier. And looks very calm and composed. You never know what's going to happen for him. He's now joined the front 2. So that's Ethiopia, and Kenya. Both of the Ethiopian runners now overtaking KERIO. We see KWAMBAI now is beginning to drop back. I did say that around about 35 kilometers, this race would start to come into effect, because that's really when your best efforts are going to be shown, whether you trained hard or whether you didn't. This is the kind of area of the race where you're going to find out. You can just see ZIANI and the other runners really drifting off now at the back. It looks like it's going to be a 4-horse race all the way to the end. Or even a 3-horse race. Could that be the Dejene Debela? It is, in fact. Dejene Debela GONFA seems to be dropping back now. This is going to be a huge thorn inside there. 2-time defending champion. For the first time, we're seeing him struggle a little bit. He knows what he has to do, but these 3 guys well, we were talking to him yesterday at the press briefing, and he did say that he was in good form, good training. So whether it has been a slight miscalculation as to how fast he should have gone in the first half of the marathon, Yang Dinghong still clearly chasing this pack, but it looks now like we're going to have a new winner for the first time in 3 years. At this point, with just about 3 kilometers left to go, they're just passing the Xiamen Convention Center now. This will be the extra couple of kilometers that have been added this year before the turnback point. It used to be about 1 kilometer. They would run up this road, then they'd turn around and then make the right-hand turn into the convention center for the finish. Well, now this has been stretched, and that's a very good shot of that new exhibition hall that I was alluding to earlier. Recently built, almost an extension of the Xiamen Convention and Conference Center that you can see on the top of your screen there. Huge complex, huge grounds. Some very important events that'll be happening there in that hall. One of them is the Golden Rooster Movie Festival. Golden Rooster movie is so famous, of course. Boost the film and TV community here. That's going to be happening in mid to late November. And just next to that building, on the other side of the building, yet another new construction to enlarge the Xiamen International Convention and Conference Center, and that is the new conference center itself. That sweeping roof you can see on the other side, and that's going to be the venue for a very important conference, the BRICS Country Summit. How international can you get? That's going to be early September this year. So once again, very big events coming to Xiamen, and when they come, they're going to be quite wowed by the facilities on hand. Brand new buildings, these buildings, they look quite amazing. That's a great close-up shot of that. And right in the front of it, you can see there, the Golden Rooster. New exhibition hall. State-of-the-art building, as you'd expect. Most of the buildings around here are state-of-the-art. That's a good shot of both buildings, the conference center and the exhibition hall. And just on the other side of both of them, you can see just up the road the Zhangshan Yacht Club, which is where the actual turning point is. The helicopter now just shears its way over that. This is the new conference center. There is, well, that looks like, yep, that is the leading pack of runners. So that's Reuben KERIO. He's looking very strong, a couple of kilometers back. Also looking a little bit more labored now in his running style. That's GEBRU from Ethiopia ahead of him. GEBRU with a very fast personal best of 2:05.49. Set 6 years ago in Dubai. He's also run a 2:10. Yeah, and up front, Birhan TESFAYE. Third place finisher last year. Still looking composed. And it looks like today might be his day. And this is the JFC Center. It's actually the new central business district in Xiamen. Glittering buildings. If the sun was out this morning, and it was out for a little bit, then it would be reflecting off those buildings. Fantastic view. So Xiamen skyline with Shimao Towers on one side, the JFC CBD on the other side, is having quite an impressive skyline these days. Constantly growing, of course, this skyline. Xiamen is one of the most booming economic zones that was set up. There's the Zhangshan Yacht Club. And this yacht club will be the actual turning point in front of that. But as you can see, good shot of those 700 berths for yachts. 3.5 billion yuan, as we said, cost to set up this beautiful yacht club. So the extension to the course with those extra 2 kilometers has brought with it some great sights to see. Now the runners should be coming up close to that. Those are the waterside villas that you can acquire from the yacht club. Beautiful, tranquil place. Now, how about this as we move to 40 kilometers and we cut back to the men's leading pack? Birhan TESFAYE one of the most underrated runners from last year's event, has not only outstripped his compatriot, GONFA, who's looking for 3 wins in a row, but is now looking to make this, the 2020 edition, his own outright title victory. Really pushing up the pace now. You can see he's really upped his rhythm. He's been saving this extra burst for when he needs it the most. There's the turn back point. So one final stretch, and it's looking like it's going to be him now. And this is a well-deserved finish for him, if it is going to happen, because he was so strong last year and looked like he was doing the exact same run this year. So he's kept this form all year. And TESFAYE. What does this mean in the greater picture of things? Well, the greater picture of things is Ethiopia are heading for yet another win. And I'm sure GONFA is going to have absolutely nothing but praise for his compatriot. 2:06.52, his personal best in Portugal. Last year, of course, a 2:09.36, so close to the Dejene Debela GONFA. But this time, GONFA has wilted near the end and has left the path clear. Good finish and a good run so far from Reuben Kiprop KERIO. His fastest at 2:07 in Eindhoven last year, but he's also picked up a 2:08 in Madrid, a 2:09 in Slovakia, and a 2:08 in Slovakia. That's an important point. It's not just about picking up one fastest time, which you'll be remembered by. A lot of people are remembered by having consistent finishes within a certain band. Reuben Kiprop KERIO is a gold-rated runner because of that. He's had a lot of 2:07, 2:08 finishes, and a 2:09 as well. And it looks like he's on course for yet another one right here. But how about this from Birhan TESFAYE? Unbelievable stuff. He's waited a year to come back and strut his stuff, and that's exactly what he's doing here. We will update you with what's happening in the women's discipline just as soon as possible, but it looks like we have to focus on this finish. It is a historical finish, not only for Ethiopia, but for that man, Birhan TESFAYE. Landmark finish, you could even say. That is GEBRU, Girmay, Birhanu, GEBRU. And that's a good example of what I was saying. His personal best at 2:05.49, but most of his finishes have been a 2:10 or a 2:16. So he's that kind of runner, and really in marathon circles, you are known by the time that you run. This is going to be a very good run from Birhan. So Kenya looks to have lost out once again in the men's discipline for a 4th straight year. But will they pick one up in the women's discipline? Last time we checked in on them, probably not. Now remember, the course record here, 2:06.19 by Moses Mossop. That was actually a Kenyan win. Wasn't the last Kenyan win. Vincent Kipruto picked up a win with a 2:10.18 in 2016. But then it was Birhanu and Dejene Debela, who's now going to have to be happy with just a double win, 2018 and 2019, as he's really dropped off the pace here. Almost hit the wall. None of them actually hit the complete wall of lack of salt. That's what hitting the wall is all about. Lack of salt, ATP, breakdown in glycogen. But definitely felt something, and that's why he had to break off from the pack, along with the likes of Kennedy GEBRU, Mohamed ZIANI, Robert KWAMBAI. There was a pack once of about 8 of them. Now heading into the last stretch for Birhan. Still looking absolutely rock solid. He's literally kept that running form, that gait, that cadence, that running style. Looking a little bit more labored on the facial expression now, but you could expect that. He really put in a lot of effort in the last couple of kilometers, and look at those splits. 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, and 40. Knows he's within sight of the finishing line now, just on the other side of that building. Going to make a right turn, cut inside onto Huizan Road, and then we'll cut back into what is known as XICEC, XICEC, Xiamen International Conference and Exhibition Center. And he just looks too strong now for anything to be happening to him. Great strategy from Birhan TESFAYE. Just stayed in the middle of the pack. Wasn't too fussed about leading it, wasn't too fussed about losing it. But then at around 35, 36 kilometers, there's the turn into Huizan Road. He made a quick burst of speed. And he is coming into the last section now. Seems to be picking up the pace a little bit more, but he knows by looking over his shoulder that he's got some clear daylight between himself and it should be GEBRU in second. Could be KERIO. I think it's Girmay GEBRU. So an Ethiopian 1-2 by the looks of it. Yes. In fact, it's KERIO that's come up second. I can just see the back of your screen now. So Kenya in with the second spot. They're not going to be able to catch Ethiopia for sure. Into the last stretch now. Just in the back of your screen, you can see that the orange top of GEBRU there, and Reuben, Kiprop, KERIO just ahead of him. These three runners were sitting in a pack of 9 runners in the elite men's pack, and halfway through the race, you never would have thought that it would have been these three that are coming up to the finish line as the top 3 runners. But what an effort from Birhan TESFAYE. Look at that distance that he's pulled from that little sprint that he put in at 35 kilometers. He can now afford to take his foot off the pedal if he needed to, but perhaps he is going for a personal best, a 2:07.09, fast run so far. This could be a 2:08 on the cards if he keeps his pace up, or another 2:09. Running in isolation, makes the cut inside. There's the blue line, the shortest distance around the track, and you can see him just sticking to that line. Doesn't really need to with the amount of distance that he's got. 2:07, 46, 49, 50. Here he comes. There's the finish line. This is going to be an absolutely stunning run from Birhan TESFAYE. Well, it's faster than last year. It's not faster than Moses Mossop in 2:015. But the 2020 C&D Xiamen Marathon has been won by Birhan Nebebew TESFAYE. And this is sweet redemption for last year's run, when he was very close on the tail of the defending champion, Dejene Debela GONFA, but had to come in third. Kenya come in second in the end, with the unexpected figure of Reuben, Kiprop, KERIO. I mean, still a gold-rated runner, but unexpected nonetheless. That's a 2:08 as well. And Girmay, Birhanu, GEBRU makes it 2 Ethiopians in the top 3. as he comes in third with an 8:2:09. Really fast times, all three of them basically coming in a little bit faster than last year. And that is the end of the men's run. Yang Ding Hong should be coming into the final stretch now. Definitely looking a little bit more labored, but also running in isolation. So whether he has found any cracks in his running style, it's still been good enough to best the rest. Absolutely nobody around him. Another good result for the Chinese contingent of runners. Always at each of these marathons, getting better and better every year. Actually, silver national champion Yang Ding Hong. Likes of Yang, Dongguo Zhen, Xu Wang, Wan Xiyang, Li Xuyun, Zhang Meixia. All of these runners have made their own mark in Chinese running. Yang Ding Hong is going to add to his very impressive resume of running with what looks like the top domestic runner here. Whether he breaks 2:15, which is really the cutoff, we'll have to wait and see. Now, cutting in with the women, or checking in with the women, I should say. Medina Armino, the first name I can see in the green top. So she's looking good to defending her title. They're at 37 kilometers now. So once again, this is the business part of the course. Now, let's sink into this. I can see two Ethiopian runners just behind the pacer. Just going to have to identify them. It looks like Araja has fallen back. She might be right at the back of that pack there. I was expecting, definitely she was the fastest runner, but Medina is running with what looks like Zinash Getachew and Zerfi Tessem. Those were the two Ethiopian runners that were with her at the middle of the race, and I'm expecting those two bibs to show those numbers. That might even be Afewerk Birhan. Just have to wait for a slightly closer shot there, but definitely Medina Armino shoulder to shoulder. And this pace is still, I think that is, in fact, Afewerk Birhan. Masters 2:22.41. Dongying last year. They've also picked up a 2:29 in Slovenia, a 2:36 in Rome, and a 2:28 in Lisbon over the last 3 years. No surprises here up at the front, and I think that might also be Zinash Getachew just behind them. Now, meanwhile, Yang Ding Hong coming into the final stretch, and this is going to be a fast time from him. I think it's pretty clear that he's going to be beating 2:15. That's going to be an unbelievable time for him. Well, well, well. Some very fast times indeed. Not the fastest, but fast enough. Last stretch for Yang Ding Hong, and he completes it. 2:13.52 based on the official timings. That's the highest placed domestic runner. National pride is that's a pretty fast time. And that's the women's contingent, as you can see now, spread out. It's always just after 35 kilometers that you see these packs spreading out. It looks like it's now just 2 runners up front. I'm thinking I've been obscured as to exactly who that runner is ahead of Medina, but I'm thinking it's Afewerk Godfrey Birhan. Might even be a Rajay. Well, that's going to be better. We can see that back bib, bigger number there. Those are the only 2 ladies now. Well, no, I stand corrected. That is not Rajay. That is in fact Mare Dibaba. There you go. And that confirms it. Mare Dibaba, Armino Getachew Arajay. Once again, absolute Ethiopian domination in the women's discipline. So no joy for Kenya once again. And this is really going to be an issue for them, because Kenya and Ethiopia have been having a running battle, literally a running battle, around the world at every single marathon. Due to the elevation of both countries, as you can imagine, a lot of runners being produced, male and female, from those 2 states. But as to which is the better country, it looks like in Xiamen, it's Ethiopia. This is going to be the 11th straight year that an Ethiopian woman wins. And I'm sticking my neck out and saying that now, because the top 5 women running still are all Ethiopian, as we saw from the split there. But Mare Dibaba, her personal best is a 2:28, Dublin, Ireland. On course to beating that now. She's picked up 2:31, 2:33, 2:36, 2:32, and a 2:38 in Hanover, Dublin, Rome, Florence, and Morocco. So she does run a great deal. And her best Chinese result is a 2:41 in the Dangzhou Marathon 2016. So this is going to be a very good result for her if she can keep this pace up. Medina Armino seems to have dropped back now. There she is, Mare Dibaba. That's Li Zixuan, well-known runner, always good, and a great performance last year as well. And once again, the leading female domestic runner here. A noticeable figure, Zixuan, very tall lady with that interesting running style. Very arms close to the body, hands especially. I remember last year had a bit of a hip problem coming into the last section, but no problems this time around. Strong running style, great pickup of the refreshment there, absolutely fantastic. Now Mare Dibaba may be looking a little bit labored in terms of her style, but she's right now head and shoulders above absolutely everybody else and is cruising towards this title. Let's just hope she can make those last 3. That's Heiyin Li, 31-year-old Chinese runner we got to talk to yesterday. She was very excited about what's happening. Her best is a 2:27.35. She's going to be looking to break that. Looking in good form right now. And it's good to see some of these names, domestic runners, again showing some really good form and prowess. But still up at the front, If you have just joined us, well, this is the business end, and I do mean the business end of the Xiamen International Marathon. The men's competition already completed. Fantastic run from Birhan TESFAYE from Ethiopia. Finished third last year, has upped that and has won the men's discipline this year, and by a good margin as well, ahead of Reuben, Kiprop, KERIO, and Girmay, GEBRU. And this is the women's competition that we're now focused on. Coming into the last 3 kilometers, one last piece of refreshment for our current leader, Mesfin Dubiso. Just in these last 2 kilometers, that things have really changed for her. Defending champion Medina Amino, you can just see at the side of your screen, was right on her tail, but she's managed to outstrip her, and Ethiopia heading for its 11th straight title at the Xiamen International Marathon in the women's class. No Kenyan woman has ever won the women's marathon in Xiamen. That is probably the most significant statement I've had to make all morning, because that's something that Kenya is going to want to really redress next year, of course, but they're not going to be doing it this year. Into the last 2 kilometers, and she has 8 minutes to play with. This should be new personal best for Mesfin Dubiso, bronze rated runner. 2:28.29 set last year in Dublin is her personal best. She's on 2:21 with about 2 kilometers left to go. If she can keep this pace up, she might possibly hit a 2:26 or a 2:27, and she'll be very, very happy with that. It'll be only the second time in her career the 24-year-old has come through with a sub 2:30, and that's looking very likely now. Medina Amino, though, is that a charge we're seeing from her? Well, this would be very much the headline of the day if Medina Amino, I'm looking at her stride length now, and she's definitely looks like she's putting in a bit more speed. Mesfin is going to have to look over her shoulder and see the charge that's coming. No, that's definitely closer. So Medina Amino doesn't seem to be giving this up anytime soon. She's got just over a kilometer to make up that distance, but you can just see from her pace that she seems to have something in the tank. This could be an unbelievable finish from her, and it would actually beat, if she can do it, her finish from last year where she outshone Shaso and Sermu in the last 2 kilometers as well. They're making the last turn in. There's probably about 20 feet between them. I think just doing a rough calculation in my head, Medina is really going to have to pick it up if she is going to overtake her. You can see the length of Huizan Road. You can see the fatigue on Mesfin Dubiso's face. She looks over her shoulder. She sees Amino there. Has she got anything else in the tank? Well, Amino is really closed up now. Well, this is going to be tragedy for Dubiso, because I think she's going to do it. Doesn't look like Mesfin has anything else left to give. She looks over her shoulder one more time. Well, that actually looks a little bit larger than it should. Maybe she can do it. This is going to be a very fast run for both ladies. But as to who comes out on top, definitely charging. She's definitely charging, Medina. She wants to make it back-to-back victories. But you have to understand, after 41.55 kilometers, both ladies are going to find it so difficult to push even harder. Muscles will absolutely be straining at breaking point, and I hope that they don't push themselves too far. It is down to the finest of margins. The pacer looks back now. Mesfin looks like she managed to find something. The pacer stopped. Wow, that gap is just getting closer and closer as we get into the last 10, and it's a huge gain from Medina into that corner. She's now off the shoulder of Mesfin. This has to be one of the closest finishes that we've seen in the Xiamen International Marathon women's class in a good few years. This even beats, as I said, Shura as well. Oh, that's unbelievable. Because now she's completely outstripped it. And we all wait with bated breath to find out. It looks like Debela. No, it's Medina that's come out on top. I did think that. We couldn't see from the overhead camera. Well, that is unbelievable drama at the end of this race. Medina Armino coming in for her second consecutive win, but in some style in the last 400 meters, overtaking Mare Dibaba. 2:26.15, unbelievable time. Great showing from Debela. She just couldn't do anything about the attack in the end. Really good strategy from Armino. And the ladies, the rest of the ladies come pouring through. It looks like a Raja that came through. That's Birhan. And Girmay should be coming through as well. There's Birhan. Afewerk Birhan. Well, what a finish in the women's race. Right to the finish line after 42.195 kilometers. Incredible stuff. But Medina Armino comes in with her second win. Ahead of Mesfin Debela, and really that's tragedy for her. She would have seen the finish line, but just could do absolutely nothing about it. No power in the legs, and the 24-year-old had to concede in the end to Medina, who, don't forget, knows how to win this race. Meanwhile, the men's victory ceremony, the 2020 Xiamen Marathon, and Birhan TESFAYE gets his reward. A bit of a more conventional finish, you could say. Reuben, Kiprop, KERIO in second. And Girmay, GEBRU, as we saw, in third there. Well done to all three of them. Great times, all of them underneath last year's record of 2:09. But Birhan TESFAYE, redemption after finishing third last year. Reuben, Kiprop, KERIO. All three of these runners, as I said earlier, sitting in the middle of a pack of 9 that included defending champion
我们冠军选手 TESFAYE
GONFA. But in the end, Birhan, very solid training regime, very solid tactical approach, and a deserved win, I have to say. Big fan of Birhan TESFAYE now. Be looking forward to seeing whether he can make this back-to-back wins next year, because he obviously seems to really love running here in southern China. So the winners for the 2020 C&D Xiamen Marathon men's category. And about to receive their checks after the flowers and, of course, the trophies. Increased only this year.
再次恭喜他们，也请我们的颁奖嘉宾能够来到台前，跟我们运动员一起合影留念。请来到台前，跟我们运动员一起合影，来到台中间。好的，谢谢三位。来，女士们、先生们。
208.15, 208.45, 208.51. 3 208s mean that we have 3 men that have beaten last year's record, or last year's course result, I should say. Still 2 seconds off Moses Mossop in 2015. What a run that was. 206. Unbelievable stuff. Great shots there of the convention center, the start and finish point. And we will be getting you the highlights just as soon as possible. In the meantime, we're going to just have a little think back now as to some of the big headlines that we've seen unravel over the last 2.5 hours, and they really have been ones to remember. The Xiamen International Marathon is always giving us memories, but this time I think a lot of people are going to remember that finish in the women's class for sure. That came down to the last kilometer, and it was pretty unbelievable stuff to see Medina Amino, who was at one point at least, I'd say 60, 70 meters back, suddenly turn on the jets and crush the attempt of Mesfin Hussein Biso. Well, those highlights will be on the way just very, very soon. But again, if we had to go through the list of all the things that can happen, which we'll be watching in those highlights, we saw the very early retirement of possibly the fastest man in the men's field, Shura Kitata TOLA. And this is a look back at today's race. The 5 waves that took off every 10 minutes, 35,000 runners picked from 82,000, all ages, all creeds, all backgrounds, all having fun. Soon we descended into this pack of 9 elite athletes, and as they were followed by this huge mass legion of runners, as we see every year in Xiamen. That pack of 9 would break down as these guys made their way across the course. In the end, Yang Dinghong would be the leading domestic runner, but this man, Birhan TESFAYE, would come through after a great run last year in 2019. He would win it in the men's discipline, and this was the unbelievable finish in the women's race. Medina Amino coming through right at the end and blitzing Mare Dibaba to take her 2nd consecutive win. And that brings us to a close for the 2020 C&D Xiamen International Marathon. I want to thank you all for watching, wherever you have been watching around the world, in all 40 countries or on the internet. Also like to give Big thanks to all the logistics and organizers, the LOC, of course, the broadcasters, and all the marshals. We'll catch you again next year in Xiamen. Goodbye.